The transport station on Kepler 442b buzzed with the usual chaos of interstellar commerce. Kala pressed herself against her mother's leg, her small three-fingered hands clutching the fabric of her mother's travel cloak. At only 6 cycles old, the young Valorian found the crowds of different species overwhelming. The towering Krathians with their crystalline exoskeletons, the floating ethers who communicated in bursts of light, and everywhere humans. Humans terrified her most of all. Her mother, Sarah, guided them through the throng with practiced ease, her iridescent skin shifting colors with her emotions, currently a cautious blue-green. They were heading to Docking Bay 7 to catch their transport home when it happened. A massive cargo hauler malfunctioned, its anti-gravity stabilizers failing with a screech of tortured metal. The 3-ton container swung wildly through the crowd, and in the ensuing panic, someone shoved hard into Sarah. She stumbled, crying out in pain as her shoulder struck the edge of a vendor's stall with a sickening crack. Kala watched in horror as her mother crumpled to the ground, her skin flashing distress signals in rapid bursts of crimson and white. Around them, the crowd parted and moved on, too concerned with their own safety to stop for a fallen Valorian. "Mama!" Kala dropped to her knees beside her mother, tears streaming down her small face. Then she saw him, a human. One of the massive warriors she'd heard whispered about in fearful tones back home. He was moving toward them with purposeful strides, his form towering nearly 7 feet tall. Ronan wore the distinctive gray uniform of Earth security forces, and his presence alone seemed to part the crowd more effectively than any barrier. Kala knew what humans did. Everyone knew. They were the galaxy's warriors, the ones who fought in wars that had raged before she was born. The ones who never surrendered, who fought with a ferocity that made other species' military doctrines look like children's games. Humans felt pain differently, processed fear differently, and most terrifyingly, they seemed to enjoy combat. "No!" Kala shrieked, placing herself between the approaching human and her mother. Her small body trembled, but she raised her hands defensively, her skin flashing the Valorian warning pattern, bright orange with black stripes. "Stay away! You hurt my mom. Stay away from us!" The human stopped immediately. Then, to Kala's utter confusion, he did something she never expected. Ronan slowly lowered himself to his knees on the hard station floor, bringing his face down to her level. With deliberate, careful movements, he raised both of his hands, palms forward, fingers spread. "I'm not going to hurt anyone," Ronan said, his voice surprisingly soft for such a large creature. "See, my hands are empty. No weapons." Kala stared at those hands. They were scarred, marked with the evidence of a hard life, but they remained steady and open. She'd learned in school that humans had evolved as persistence hunters, that those hands could break Valorian bones like dried twigs, yet something in his eyes made her pause. "My name is Ronan," he continued, still kneeling, still holding his hands up. "I'm a medic. That means I help people who are hurt. Your mom needs help and I'd like to give it to her, but only if you say it's okay." Behind Kala, Sarah groaned weakly. The little girl's skin flickered between protective orange and frightened purple. "Humans hurt people," Kala whispered, her voice breaking. "Everyone says so. You fight wars. You're scary." Ronan's expression softened with something that looked like sadness. He glanced briefly at Sarah, and Kala saw his jaw tighten with concern, but he kept his attention on her. "You're right that humans fight," he said honestly. "We do. We fight when we have to protect people who can't protect themselves. We fight when the bad things in the galaxy hurt innocent people. But that's not all we are." He slowly moved one hand, just one, to a patch on his uniform. It showed a red cross on a white background. "This symbol is very old on my world, thousands of years old. It means healer. It means that even in the middle of fighting, some humans decided that helping and healing was more important than hurting. I'm one of those humans, Kala." Her eyes widened. "You know my name?" "Your mom said it." "I was listening." He smiled gently. "I have a daughter about your age back on Earth. Her name is Maya. If she was scared and her mom was hurt, I'd want someone kind to help them. Will you let me be that someone for you?" Kala looked at her mother, whose breathing had become shallow, skin pale lavender. She looked back at Ronan, still kneeling, still patient, his hands remaining where she could see them. "You promise?" she asked in a small voice. "You promise you won't hurt her?" "I promise on my daughter's name," Ronan said solemnly. "I will help your mom and I will keep you both safe." Something in his voice and his steady gaze made Calla believe him. She stepped aside. Ronan moved with swift efficiency, but every action was announced before he did it. I'm going to scan her shoulder now. I'm taking out my medical scanner, see? Just this small device. Within moments, he had assessed Sarah's injury and administered a pain reliever compatible with Valorian physiology. As he worked, other humans in security forces uniforms arrived, responding to the cargo incident. But Ronan waved them toward securing the area, maintaining his focus on his patients. He splinted Sarah's shoulder with gentle precision, his large hands impossibly careful. The bone is fractured but not shattered, he explained to both Calla and her now conscious mother. You'll need surgery, but you're going to be fine. I'm going to personally escort you to the medical bay. True to his word, Ronan carried Sarah himself, while Calla walked beside him, her small hand wrapped around two of his fingers. The little Valorian found herself studying this human who had shown her something she'd never expected. Kindness wrapped in strength. At the medical bay, as Valorian doctors took over Sarah's care, Ronan knelt down one more time to meet Calla's eyes. Remember today, he said softly. Remember that being strong doesn't mean being scary. It means having the power to hurt but choosing to heal instead. That's what the best humans try to do. Calla's skin glowed a warm, grateful pink. She stepped forward and wrapped her small arms around Ronan's neck in a Valorian embrace. Thank you, she whispered. You're a good human. Ronan's eyes glistened as he gently returned the embrace. You're a brave girl, Calla. Your mom is lucky to have you. Years later, when Calla herself joined the Interstellar Medical Corps, she would often think of that day on Kepler 442b. She would remember the human who knelt in humility, who showed his empty hands and who taught a frightened alien child that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their capacity for violence. It was their choice to be gentle when they could have been otherwise, and she would dedicate her career to spreading that lesson across the stars. The end.